Hey, everybody, it's another wonderful Thursday evening. Unfortunately, Alexander Keaton, uh, am Rioless. Nick Bradshaw may be along a little bit later this evening. Unfortunately, he's not here at the moment. That being said, we're going to go ahead and kick off this shindig, though, because there's a lot to talk about, including sort of our new path forward here. We've labeled this one Moving Forward because it's more than just what's going on with the election. We here at Not Playing Politics want to really live up to that because we want to talk about what to do. We don't want to just be reactive. We need to be proactive. We need to build a community that's willing to go out there and fight for everything that is good and right in this world. We need to fight for that better world we're hoping for. I recently saw a comic strip that had two groups of sheep, each one putting votes in a ballot box, one for a wolf, one for a lion. The problem with that is that it's supposed to symbolize our system, but the thing is, our system is not designed to be sheep voting for the predator that will destroy them. We're supposed to be the predators voting on the person who will serve us. We're supposed to be the wolves. We're supposed to be the lions. And the only way we fix this situation is if we, the men and women of this country, rise up, not in violence, but in activism. We actually talk to our neighbors. Don't just, I'm not saying to avoid Facebook or anything like that. We're going to talk about that in a second, but we actually go talk to our neighbors. We speak to them. We actually have long form conversations. We go to the city council meetings. We meet our mayors. We meet the sheriffs. We meet the people who are involved. We meet and become active in the local politics first, then on the regional, then the national. We have to take the power back. We have to decentralize it. So much of the power of our nation is centralized in one town, and that's not the way it was supposed to be. But we don't get there if we keep sending people to Washington hoping to fix it. We have to actively argue for our positions so we can take that power back. It's not going to happen in one election. It's not going to happen in two elections. It may not even really happen this generation. We didn't get to this situation overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. So this channel is going to, we may open up with some of the problems of the week, but we're going to talk about how to fix it. Yes, Stephen, be decent. We can't simply allow politics to be played. And that's really the issue here, right? Is that we have much larger problems going on than even the fact that we can't seem to be able to count votes. There's bigger problems than that. We're going to talk about those over the coming weeks and months and years that we're here together. There's a lot to do. Unfortunately, right now, we're all trying to figure out how do we help end this election? How do we make certain that Trump wins? How do we do it in a way that exposes the criminal behavior of those who are actively? I don't think they're just trying to steal. I think they've stolen them in the past. I think they just got sloppy last time. But how do we do that? Well, unfortunately, unless you saw a crime happen, there isn't much. You can monetarily contribute to the legal defense and to pay the many hundreds of lawyers, the thousands of man hours to write briefs, to write complaints, to do these things, to send to the courts. That's the first step. But the second step here is going to be prayer, and really it is the first step. Prayer should always be our first response to all situations. The second is sending money. But then after that, beyond that, do not allow the political game to destroy your life. Don't let it steal your joy. Right now, there are many people who are just burned out because they think that listening to CNN or Fox News or any of these others are going to. It's like if I stay informed, I'll be able to change something. No, you won't. live your life. Staying informed, absolutely. And by the way, we're going to start finding uh, some solid news sources here. We're going to start looking for news sources that we can say, hey, go listen to this guy, go read this newspaper. These are good, honest news sources that we can start pulling together so we can really be informed. But being informed doesn't really change anything. Yes, we should be informed, but this constant filling of your time and your mind with the news media of whether right or left or in the middle is irrelevant. It'll just destroy your joy. It'll tax your patience. Instead, let's be informed, but let's live our lives. Let's allow politics to be what it's supposed to be, the tool we use to live together. Not something to bide time, but something to make life a better place. Not by trusting politicians, but by us actively engaging, speaking with one another, coming to solutions reasonably. Again, not something that's going to happen tomorrow, but it will happen if we believe in it and if we work for it. If we make it happen, it can happen. We can't give up on it. It only goes away when we allow it to go away. Now, does this mean that we need to go to Parler? Well, I will say this: Not Playing Politics is on Parler now, and we're going to be doing some things. But we're also going to be on Facebook. We are going to, over the next few weeks, we are going to be writing more. We are going to be searching for answers, not Republican answers, Democrat answers, but answers. We're going to be finding solutions that we can all get behind and force the politicians to enact. That's our goal. I think everything comes in phases. We needed someone who was loud. We needed people who were brash. We sort of needed that first wave of conservatives to take on social media and start disrupting things, and that's what's happened. But now it's time for round two. And while they are out there, while we fight the fight to make certain all of our voices are heard, we now need to be the reasonable voices as well. We need to put forth answers and solutions. We need to call people to answer, not just into account. So there is a role for that as well. But it's time to move forward. Donald Trump, whether he's won or lost, has bought us an opportunity. We have to be the ones to make the most of it. If we continue to simply sit back and allow ourselves to be ruled, if we keep waiting for someone else to do the job, it will never get done. And it will be to our great shame. We're moving forward here. It's going to take some time, but we will move forward. We're going to create new prospects. We're going to create solutions. We're going to create maybe even some comic strips, things that you can so that you can share on social media to let people see who we are. Not just us not playing politics, not just Alexander and Nick, Stephen and Lethia and everyone else who wants a better, more prosperous future. We're going to make the arguments. We're going to allow people to be armed to make the arguments because we have an opportunity. Donald Trump should have given everyone who believes in this country a spine. It was that shot in the arm to say, hey, there are still people who fight for this nation and what it stands for. But now it's our job to stand up and be counted with him. It's our job to take that from him and run even harder. Why? Because without it, if we remain silent, if we keep waiting for the right politician to show up and fix everything, you know what will happen? Is it won't get done. That means more children of all colors born into poverty. It means more violence in neighborhoods of all ethnicities. It means more children being brought across the Rio Grande to sexually service men who will throw them away. It means women and children being brought across the Rio Grande by coyotes. Yes, if you're liberal and you think it's a canine, then you're an idiot. I'm going to say that one up front. If you don't understand that they are criminals who are smuggling humans in to continue a soft form of slavery, then you are uneducated and you need to get engaged, because every year hundreds of people die trying to cross our border to work it for $2 and $3 an hour. They do not enjoy all of the securities, the protections that American citizens are supposed to enjoy. They're brought across illegally. That illegal status is what keeps them enslaved. This is why whenever the situation of illegals come up, everyone wants to grant amnesty, but no one wants to fix the system. Why? Because the companies, the corporations, they like paying people $3 an hour and being able to say, well, we may call INS if you want 4. Oh, you don't want to work 14 hours a day? We'll call INS. And if you think that doesn't happen, it does. I've seen it. And if you ask enough people, you can find plenty of people who've seen it for themselves. And those are the lucky ones. Those aren't the kids who are being sold into prostitution. Those are the lucky ones. Because some of them do end up with these modern day slavers. Some of them do end up on plantations growing drugs. Drugs that we have a war raging in our streets over. It is not a game. Politics has become a game to entertain us, and trillions of dollars have been wasted, and they've been grafted away into the pockets of people who do not deserve it. While we're arguing over right versus left, blue versus red, while we fight for the table scraps, we miss the corruption. We miss how many trillions of dollars have been sent to supposedly help the inner city. Is there even a number attached to it because it's trillions of dollars by now. Trillions upon trillions of dollars over the last 50 years. What do we have to show for it? Where do you think that money has gone? Simple fact of the matter is, we've allowed the system to play us. I'm going to keep this episode short. Unfortunately, Nick's not here to give us his perspective. But what I'm saying is, over the next few weeks, things are going to change. We're going to be more proactive. We're going to advocate for solutions, for ideas. And those ideas you can take to your friends and your family, and so they can take it to their friends and their extended family, and so on and so forth. Let's force conversations on topics that need to happen. Let's actually solve immigration instead of fighting over it. Because it looks like, I would argue that there's a really easy solution to all of it. And it's one that only requires a reasonable conversation. You want to fix the healthcare system? I think there's a way to do that. In fact, I think the real problem is government keeps getting in the way. Why? Because they like the cash they get off of it. We need to take it back, because allowing the politicians to make these decisions are not working. We have to fight for it. We can't wait for them to come up with a plan, because their plans benefit themselves, not the American people. It benefits them and their cronies. It doesn't benefit you and your family. I don't care what color you are. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you are not served by those in office. If you're wondering why the Democrats and the Republicans never seem to be able to come together to make a decision, and to make that a decision that makes the world a better place, oftentimes it's because they make too much money off of the problem. Now, does this mean that we throw our hands up and say, oh no, let's go away? Of course not. You've been listening for the last 20 minutes. Clearly, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we get involved. I'm saying we fight for the solutions. I'm saying we get in there. We elect the right people, the people who will listen to us, and we stay on top of them. We don't trust them to simply do the right thing. We make certain they do the right thing. We have to want the dialogue. Stephen, I think it's a great point. We have to be the one, we have to support the reasonable dialogue. We can't just say, yeah, I want to watch the newest episode, the newest, Thug Life compilation of Ben Shapiro. Although, while amusing, that can't be the end of our dialogue. I know it's hard. We live in a world now where there are those who, instead of dialogue, want to burn cities. But we only lose if we stop talking. Because for every one violent extremist who wants to beat and stab and shoot and kill and destroy to get his way, there's 1,000 more who want a civilized dialogue to come to a solution because they want to live their lives. We have to take the opportunity that we've been given, whether Trump wins, whether he loses. We have to take this opportunity to fight for a better world. A world where people can talk about things. A world where we fight for solutions. And how do we do it? We do it by having reasonable conversations that start right here. We're going to be advocating for things to do, like fixing immigration, like fixing healthcare, like fixing the economy. In fact, truth be told, I think with just a few things, we could fix a lot. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be a new problem to solve. There really will be. But we can solve the problems that we have today, and then when the new problems come, we can fix those too. But what we can't do is simply wait. We can't simply just say, I'm going to let somebody else do it. It begins with you sharing this video. It starts with you saying, hey, guys, in the future, in the videos of the future, I know you and I disagree, but here's the conversation these people are having. Let's have the same conversation. Why can't we do this? Why can't we have a better, higher conversation? Why can't we come to a solution? Why can't we fix these things? And maybe we're not going to get everything right, but maybe we'll get on a pathway to right, and maybe it'll be right for some people in some states, but not right for others, but lays the groundwork to be right for y'all to, in your situation, in your states, in your, perhaps even in your nation, if you're not an American. Maybe it gives you an idea to how to make it work for you and where you're at. This one episode is not going to change anything. This one channel is not going to change anything. But what it can do is provide an opportunity for y'all to take this message of not playing politics to the world in which you live, to your environment, to your friends, to your family, to those people that you know, and they take it to theirs. I think we can make this world a better place. But we have to stop waiting for someone to do it. We have to do it. I'm not saying that every politician who's ever lived is some alien that's feeding off the blood of children or anything like that. I think the problem is we're asking too much of a system that can't do it. We need to advocate for a government that focuses on the things that it can do right. And then for the rest of it, let's bring it back to the states. Let's bring it back to the county. Let's bring it back to the cities and the townships, the churches, and the private industries. Let's take the things off the shoulders of the government that it can't handle. Let it focus on the things that it can do right. And it can do certain things. There are things that only the government can and should do. Let them do it. Let's hold them accountable, but let's take the power for these other things and bring it back to the people where it matters, where we can make those decisions. Because you know what? What works in Dallas, Texas, isn't going to work in Austin, Texas, isn't going to work in Kansas City or New York or Los Angeles or Schenectady. It's not going to work in Timbuktu or Miami. It's not going to work in Jefferson. Each solution needs to fit itself. I believe that this system works. But I also believe that we have to make it work. I believe that we have to take a stand and we have to fight for it. We need to fight peacefully for it. Because it's going to be really easy to allow the violent extremists on the left to provoke us. But we can't. We have to fight for solutions. We have to present good arguments. We have to show reasonableness. Not in being weak and giving in the way Republicans have done forever, but by being strong. By coming to hard answers. There is a new left and right forming. And really goes beyond Republican and Democrat. There's a new left and a new right. The new left is about totalitarianism, control. The new right is about freedom, free speech, individuality, individual choice. We need to recognize this. For those who will not talk, for those who simply want to impose their will, let them do their thing. They will be made irrelevant. But let those of us, whether you consider yourself liberal or conservative or libertarian or apolitical, you just want to live your life, that's fine. But let's stop playing politics. Let's stop seeing it as a team sport. Let's actually come to solutions, and that's what this channel is going to be about. And ladies and gentlemen, next week, Nick and I are going to come back at you with some solutions. We're going to build this channel. We're going to build our Parler presence. We're going to build our Facebook presence. And we're going to build a bigger and better community to actually see that shoots for answers and solutions, and not just score points in some imaginary political board. And I'm inviting every single one of you who's listening today and listening tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that to come with us, because you are important. Never ever forget that if you live here in this United States, this is what the show is about, the United States. But if you live somewhere else, this matters to you as well. You are important. God chose you for this time and this place. This is not an accident. There's a job only you can do. There are problems only you can solve. It's time that those of us who want to work for solutions, for freedom, for liberty, to stand for that freedom and liberty by not abdicating our responsibilities, but by becoming informed and advocating for real progress, holding accountable those who have failed and promoting those who succeed. We can do it together, because that's the only way we're going to get through this. For everyone who's listening, thank you for your time. I promise you next week we're going to have the first of many many solutions. Let's do this. I believe that we can. Good night.